A mist clung to the Keep of Shadows like a shroud, obscuring its imposing silhouette from the world below. It was a structure of gray stone and shadowed gargoyles, a brooding behemoth that seemed to rise from the earth itself. Locals whispered of its haunted halls and the melancholy soul of its master, Kaelan. Leona, a waif of a woman with eyes as green as the summer's promise, found herself drawn to the keep like a moth to flame. Her past was a tempestuous sea, and she sought refuge in its storm-lashed shores. The carriage ride had been an eternity, the road winding through a bleak landscape of skeletal trees and barren fields. Now, as she stepped from the carriage, a chill crept into her bones that had nothing to do with the autumn air. The keep loomed before her, a Gothic monolith against the sullen sky. A heavy, iron-bound door was the only break in the stone's monotony. As it creaked open, a gust of wind carried with it the faintest whisper, like the sigh of an ancient soul. The interior of the keep was as imposing as its exterior. A vast, cavernous hall stretched before her, its walls adorned with tapestries that seemed to shift and flicker in the dim light. Dust motes danced in the air, illuminated by the feeble glow of torches. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and damp stone, and it carried an undercurrent of something else, a faint, metallic tang that made her skin prickle. A figure emerged from the shadows, a tall, imposing man with hair as dark as the night sky. His eyes, however, were the color of storm clouds, holding within them depths of sorrow and a cold, distant aloofness. This was Kaelan, the master of the keep. "You have arrived." His voice was as deep and resonant as the tolling of a bell. There was a stiffness to his demeanor, a formality that belied the rumored melancholy that clung to him like a shadow. Leona found herself drawn to him, despite the aura of desolation that surrounded him. As he regarded her, his gaze seemed to penetrate her, as if searching for something. A flicker of recognition passed across his face, then was gone, replaced by an impassive mask. "Welcome to the Keep of Shadows, Miss?" "Leona," she replied, her voice a mere whisper in the echoing hall. A shiver ran down her spine. It was more than just the cold. It was as if the very stones of the keep were alive, watching, waiting. Leona took a deep breath, pushing aside her trepidation. "Thank you, Lord Kaelan," she said, her voice stronger than she felt. "I've come seeking refuge and perhaps some answers." Kaelan's gaze grew more intense. "Answers, you say?" He stepped closer, his boots echoing on the stone floor. "The keep holds many secrets, but it's not in the habit of giving them up easily." His words were a warning, but Leona's curiosity remained undeterred. The days passed in a blur of dusty corridors and whispered conversations with the few servants who remained. Kaelan was a ghostly presence, often disappearing for hours on end, leaving Leona to explore the keep's shadowy depths. She felt a strange kinship with the place, as if the very air whispered secrets of pain and loss that mirrored her own. It was during one such exploration that she stumbled upon Morwen, Kaelan's cousin. His eyes were like pools of ink in a face that was too handsome to be trustworthy. He watched her with a predatory stillness that sent a shiver down her spine. "You're not like the others," he said, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "What brings you to this forsaken place?" Leona hesitated, unsure of how much to reveal. "I'm looking for peace," she lied, "and perhaps a little adventure." Morwen's smile grew wider. "Ah, then you've come to the right place." His tone was slick as oil, and his words held a dark promise. The keep has a way of revealing secrets, and perhaps offering a little more than you bargained for. The tension between the cousins was palpable, a silent dance of animosity that seemed to charge the very air around them. Kaelan's brooding silence and Morwen's oily charm were two sides of the same coin, and Leona found herself caught in the middle, a pawn in a game she didn't understand. But she was no one's pawn. As the days grew shorter and the nights grew colder, Leona resolved to uncover the truth behind the keep's mysteries. The whispers grew louder, the shadows more insistent. Yet, she felt a strange comfort in the presence of Kaelan, a bond that grew stronger with each shared glance, each brush of hands. Their conversations grew longer, the silences between them less oppressive. Leona sensed a yearning in Kaelan, a need for connection that went beyond the physical. His pain was like a living thing, a beast chained in the depths of his soul. And she, with her own share of ghosts, found in him a kindred spirit. One evening, as the last light of day bled from the sky, leaving the keep to the mercy of the shadows, Leona followed the sound of a mournful melody. It led her to a chamber she hadn't yet explored, a place where the very stones seemed to weep. There, in the flickering candlelight, she found Kaelan. His eyes were closed, his fingers dancing over the strings of a lute, the music a haunting lament that seemed to echo her own soul. Without a word, she approached, drawn to the raw emotion that poured from him. The moment their eyes met, the air in the room shifted. The music stuttered to a halt, and the silence that followed was deafening. Leona reached out, her fingertips brushing against his cheek, feeling the warmth of his skin beneath her trembling hand. In that instant, the barriers between them crumbled. The walls of ice that had encased Kaelan's heart began to melt, revealing the fiery passion beneath. He pulled her to him, his kiss as fierce as a storm. It was a declaration, a surrender, a promise of something more. But as their hearts entwined, the whispers grew louder. The shadows grew restless, and Leona knew that their love was not just a beacon in the dark, but a threat to the very fabric of the keep's secrets. The battle for their hearts had only just begun, and the forces of darkness were stirring. The following morning, Leona awoke to find Kaelan gone from her side. The room was cold, the fire in the hearth nothing but ashes. A sense of unease settled in her stomach, a foreboding that the night had brought more than just passion. She searched the keep, her steps echoing in the empty halls, but Kaelan was nowhere to be found. As she descended into the bowels of the keep, the whispers grew clearer. They were not just echoes of the past. They were a siren's call, a warning of the storm to come. She stumbled upon an ancient library, its shelves groaning with the weight of forgotten tomes. Amongst them, she found a book that seemed to hum with dark energy. With trembling hands, she opened the book to find pages filled with arcane symbols and incantations. The air grew thick with the scent of brimstone, and the shadows grew longer, reaching out to her like skeletal fingers. The whispers grew into a cacophony, a chorus of the damned. Leona knew that this was Morwen's doing, that he sought to use her to unlock the keep's darkest secrets. But she also knew that she could not leave Kaelan to face this alone. With a steely resolve, she vowed to unravel the mystery and protect the man she had come to love, even if it meant confronting the very forces of darkness that haunted them both. The night grew darker, the whispers louder. The candles in the library flickered and danced, casting eerie shadows across the pages. As she read, the words seemed to pulse with a malevolent intent. But she could not stop. The truth was within her grasp, and she knew that only by facing the shadows could she banish them forever. In the heart of the keep, she found Kaelan, standing before an ancient altar. His eyes were wild, his body taut with the effort of resisting the power that sought to consume him. The air crackled with an unseen force, and the very stones of the chamber seemed to pulse with malevolence. Morwen stood behind him, his smile a twisted mockery of kinship. "You see, my dear," he said, his voice slithering through the air like a serpent's hiss. "The keep is not just a place of refuge. It is a prison, and we are all its inmates." Leona stepped forward, the book clutched to her chest. "Your games end here," she declared, her voice steady despite the fear that gnawed at her insides. "You will not claim Kaelan, nor will you use this place for your twisted ambitions." The shadows grew denser, coalescing into a monstrous form that towered over them. But as Leona began to recite the ancient incantation she had discovered, a warm light grew within her, pushing back the darkness. The creature roared in fury, but the light was relentless. It grew brighter, filling the chamber, driving the shadows before it like a cleansing flame. And as the creature dissipated into nothingness, so too did Morwen's power. With the last of her strength, Leona flung the book at Morwen. It struck him with a thud, and he crumpled to the ground, his eyes wide with terror. Kaelan, free from the creature's hold, rushed to her side, his gaze filled with a mix of relief and anger. Together, they faced the aftermath of the battle, the keep's secrets laid bare before them. But as they stood in the candlelit chamber, the whispers grew faint, and the shadows retreated. The Keep of Shadows had chosen its new masters, and together, Leona and Kaelan would face whatever lay ahead, their love a beacon in the darkness. The following days were a whirlwind of activity. They worked tirelessly to restore the keep, the bond between them growing stronger with every stone they laid and every candle they lit. The servants watched in amazement as their lord's mood lifted, the heavy cloak of grief slowly lifting from his shoulders. But the keep had not yet fully relinquished its hold on the past. One night, as Leona lay in Kaelan's arms, she was startled awake by a ghostly figure at the foot of their bed. It was the spirit of Kaelan's lost love, a woman of ethereal beauty, her eyes filled with a sorrow that mirrored his own. The spirit spoke in a voice as soft as the rustling of leaves. "I am what remains of Kaelan's heart, the love he lost to the shadows. I am both his torment and his salvation. You must help him find peace, for without it, we are all lost." Leona felt a cold hand on her heart. The truth of Morwen's words resonated within her. The keep was indeed a prison, not just for Kaelan, but for all those who had suffered within its walls. They buried Morwen deep in the keep's cemetery, his grave marked with a simple stone, the name Betrayer etched into its surface. With his malevolence vanquished, the keep's atmosphere began to shift, the oppressive weight of the past slowly lifting. But the whispers grew restless once more. The spirit of Kaelan's lost love haunted their every step, a constant reminder of the darkness that still lurked within the keep's stones. Leona knew that the true battle was not over, that the keep's secrets were not so easily laid to rest. Yet, she felt a newfound determination, a fierce love that would not let her falter. Together, she and Kaelan would conquer the shadows and bring light back to the Keep of Shadows. Their journey was fraught with danger and revelation. Each night, they delved deeper into the Keep's history, uncovering layers of deceit and heartache. But with every step they took, the Keep's grip on Kaelan's soul grew weaker, the shackles of his guilt and pain slowly breaking away. And as the first snowflakes of winter fell, kissing the ground with a whisper of promise, Leona knew that they were on the precipice of something momentous. The Keep's dark past would not be easily forgotten, but with her love, Kaelan could find redemption. The final confrontation came on the longest night of the year, as the moon cast a pale glow over the Keep's battlements. The spirits of the damned gathered, their whispers a mournful symphony that filled the air. Leona stood before the ancient altar, the same one where she had faced Morwen. But this time, she was not alone. Kaelan was beside her, his hand tight in hers, their hearts beating as one. With a voice that was both gentle and fierce, she called forth the spirit of his lost love. The ethereal woman appeared before them, her eyes no longer filled with sadness, but with hope. Together, they performed a ritual of cleansing and release, the ancient words of the incantation echoing through the hallowed halls. The spirits of the keep were laid to rest, their pain and anger dissipating into the cold night air. As the final echoes of the incantation faded, the keep felt lighter, as if it had shed a great burden. The shadows retreated, the whispers fell silent. The keep was no longer a prison, but a sanctuary for two souls who had found each other in the darkest of places. In the quiet that followed, Leona turned to Kaelan, her eyes filled with love and determination. "We will face whatever comes," she said, "together." And as the first light of dawn pierced the gloom, the Keep of Shadows was no more. It was reborn as the Keep of Hope, a bastion of light in a world of shadows. And within its walls, a love that had conquered darkness grew, a testament to the enduring power of hope and the redemptive force of love. Leona and Kaelan stood on the battlements, hand in hand, watching the sun rise over the now peaceful lands. The snow had ceased to fall, leaving the world below in a blanket of pristine white, unblemished by the shadows of the past. The chill in the air was no longer one of dread but of a newfound tranquility. The months that followed were a blur of laughter and warmth, as the keep slowly shed its mournful shroud. The halls that once echoed with whispers of despair now resonated with the sound of music and joy. The tapestries grew vibrant, the fields outside lush and green once more. Yet, the specter of Morwen's treachery lingered in the air, a constant reminder of the battles they had faced. They knew that darkness could never truly be vanquished, only contained. And so, they built a life together, fortified by the knowledge that they could stand against any storm that might come their way. Their union was celebrated with a masquerade ball, the grandest the land had ever seen. Guests from far and wide were invited, their faces hidden behind elaborate masks. It was a night of revelry and joy, a declaration that the keep had been reclaimed from the clutches of the past. As they danced beneath the flickering chandeliers, Leona whispered into Kaelan's ear, "Tonight, we dance not just for us, but for all those lost souls who could not find their way out of the shadows." Kaelan's stormy eyes searched hers, understanding and love mingling within their depths. "Together," he murmured, "we will keep the light burning, chasing away the night." And so, the legend of the Keep of Shadows grew into one of love and triumph, a beacon of hope that stood tall against the dark. And in the hearts of its inhabitants, the whispers of the past were replaced by the sweet promise of a future filled with love and light. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider subscribing to stay updated with our latest stories, give us a like if you want to see more, and drop a comment below to let us know your thoughts.